had one of the deepest conversations I've ever had in my life with the homeless man today. Now listen through the end of the video because I'm going to tell a story about 3 different people, and the third person, I guarantee you will get value from in a positive way in your life. Now I had this goal of wanting to have a conversation with a homeless person. I got this idea from my boy Rich. He wanted to have a conversation with an inmate, someone that was doing a long stretch of time, for the sake of getting to know a perspective of life from someone completely different than normal society. And I was like, man, that's like hella interesting and respectable, and like just drew my curiosity towards that. And he went and he tried to do it. He went to a jail and he told the guards, he's like, yeah, I want to speak to like a random inmate. And they were like, what? They were like tripping. Damn near helicopters pulled up, blocked his car in, and they were like damn near gonna arrest him. It just didn't work out the way he thought. They were not cool with it. And I was like, I'm gonna take that same approach, but for a homeless person. And I came out here to Hawaii, and I seen this homeless guy. I was going to buy a $300 Yeti, a cooler, and then I was like, oh, I almost felt like guilty. I'm like, I'm spending this much money on a cooler. And I drove past this guy. He had a sign, and he was like asking for money. And I went and bought the cooler. I was like, if he's still there when I get back, I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna have a conversation with him. And he was still there when I came back, bought the cooler, $300, and I felt guilty after seeing him because I'm like, I'm spending this much money on a luxury. I'm like, anyways, you get the point. So I pull over, I go to the gas station across the street, I grab 2 waters, one for me and one for him, hoping to have a conversation. And I go up to him, and I'm like, hey man, I got you water. He's like, oh, thank you. He was sitting down, and gave him the water. I say, hey, I'm just curious, are you open for a quick conversation? Nah, man, I'm busy. I got something to do in a little bit. So, all right, have a good one, man. Have a good one. It shocked me because I'm like, in my mind, if I was homeless, I think that'd be something I would value most, is like a conversation. And I don't know, maybe he was actually had something to do. He didn't know me. He wasn't comfortable with sitting. Who knows? I kept it pushing. I was like, that was interesting. I was shocked. I'm like, you got something? You got shit to do. That's immediately what I thought. But I was like, all right. And then there was this other guy. 2-3 days ago, actually, he came up to me and he was like, I was in my car and he was like, hey man, can I get some spare change? I was like, give me 1 second. I'm like cleaning up this mess. I got food and like stuff all over my hands. I'm cleaning up this mess. And he's standing behind me as I open up my door. And I was like, what's your name, man? He was like, Salomon. Oh, good to meet you, Salomon. I'm Isaiah. And I was gonna shake his hand, but he was real dirty. I'm like, good to meet you, Salomon. And he's like, oh, Isaiah. He was like, that's a circle, a square, a triangle name, yeah? And I was like, yeah. I was going along with it. And then the conversation continued on, and I could tell he was tweaking. He was on something for sure. Maybe mental issues, but there wasn't going to be a conversation out of there wasn't going to be a conversation. Fast forward to today. I'm telling you this story, it was one of the deepest conversations I've ever had in my life. There's nothing I enjoy more than a good conversation, and you'll hear how it goes. There's this guy that stands outside of a 7-Eleven that I go to a lot, and he's always out there, and he opens the door for everyone. He's homeless. Opens the door for everyone. Hey, have a good one. Hey, what's up? He's so friendly. Just his positive energy. It's crazy. And I've seen him a few times. Hey, can I get spare change? I don't got it, bro. I don't got it. And no problem. Have a good one. Have a good one. Keeps it, but he don't make you feel guilty or like anything. Just have a good one. Boom. And long story short, I've seen him 3, 4, 5 times, and then I was like, man, I'm like, what? I'm gonna have a conversation with this dude. I go back, I buy some gum, and I come out, and I'm like, hey man, you open for a quick conversation? He said, yeah. I was like, what's your name? He said, I'm JT. I said, I'm Isaiah. Good to meet you. Shook his hand, and I was like, I'm just curious. I'm like, are you homeless? I was like, yeah. I was like, how long you been out here? He's like, in Hawaii? He's like, I'm from Hawaii. I was like, oh, how long have you been homeless? He said, about 5 or 6 years. I was like, really? He's probably in his 50s, probably 50s. I wouldn't even say 60s. I'm like, 5 or 6 years. Like, I was expecting a long time, maybe 10, 20 years is what I was thinking. I didn't say this out loud, but that's what I was like, wow, 5, 6 years. I was like, of course, don't feel pressure to share anything you don't want to share, but I'm very curious with your story. I was like, yeah, go ahead. I was like, have you traveled? Have you been to any other places, any other states? He said, oh yeah, I've been all over the world. I was like, what? I'm like, you've been he said, I've been to so many countries, all these states. I've been all over the world. I was like, whoa. I was like, were you in the military? He said, no, I wasn't in the military. He said, I was a pilot. I said, you were a pilot? He said, 25 years. I was like, no. And for a split second, I was like, is he being serious? Is he lying? Is he on drugs? I don't know. I just questioned it for a split second. And immediately I was like, no, I drew all that out. You could just tell authenticity, energy. I was like, he's not lying. He's not lying. He's being serious. I'm like, you were a pilot for 25 years? He said, yeah, I flew 767s, Airbuses. I was like, what the? I'm like, I didn't even. Anyways, we continue the conversation. I was like, what happened? He's like, man, it's a long story, but it happened so quick. He said, your life can change so quick. 25 years of saving towards retirement. He said he had over $1 million in retirement. It was $1 million. I was like, you were a millionaire? He said, yes. I was like, he said, long story short, I'll keep it very, very short. He said his employer pretty much just snaked him, just did him dirty, did him janky, and was able to, if in any career field, if you were to do something like crazy or wrong or whatever, a penalty could be loss of your pension, which is your regular pay, or your retirement. And somehow they were able to make him lose his retirement after 25 years as a pilot. I was like, what the fuck? He was like, and then my wife started taking money, and then my son was going through all this, and I was trying to pay to help him get out of this sticky situation. I'm like, oh my. He's like, it happened so quick. He said, my whole life fell apart so fast. I was like, oh my God. I was like, you're not able to be a pilot anymore? He was like, to be a pilot, you need to have a pilot's license, and you need to be medically cleared to be able to fly. He said, somehow, some way, his employer messed up his medical record or something to where I'm not explaining the story perfectly, but his medical record was messed up to where he's not eligible to be a pilot anymore. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, I've never heard a story like this. And his whole life completely changed. He said within a few months. He said it very quickly became apparent that the bills weren't getting paid, lost car, everything, homeless. From being a pilot, 25 years, $1 million net worth, to being homeless. And I was like, every time I see you, you have like a positive energy, a positive outlook on life. He was like, I'm not always, trust me. It's very dark sometimes. I said, I can understand that. But just from what I see, it's very positive. I was like, where does that come from? And he just tries to have a positive outlook on life. I was like, do you think the future looks bright? He said no. And we got to a point of the conversation where I could tell he was willing to share more, but I just didn't want to keep, for his sake, I didn't want to just keep asking questions. He was just, the energy and the demeanor, the look on his face, and he was like, all he cares about is his son. He put in so much money towards his son, which is one thing that led to him being homeless. He said, I don't even know if he's alive. I was like, oh my God. And he just had this look in his face. He's looking me straight in my face. And his eyes start to get watery, and I say, hey, JT, I greatly appreciate you having this conversation with me. It fascinates me, and it just gives me a greater appreciation for life. I was like, I'm gonna see you around for sure. I'm like, enjoy your night. I shook his hand. He just started crying. He just got so emotional. I almost got emotional. Like, I felt emotion. I didn't physically show it, but I was like, it was so powerful. Like, just his story, that conversation. And he was just like getting choked up. He was like, thank you, brother. Thank you, like, for the conversation that we just had. And as I'm driving off, he's just like, hand over his heart, like, thank you. I appreciate you. This won't be the last. I'm confident this won't be the last of the interactions that me and him have, and I usually try to end off a story giving a message or a lesson from the story, but take what you will from this story. I'm sure you can find some positives in it, and I'm sure you can be more appreciative for the things in your life. But stay locked in. The future looks bright.